Welcome to the real nitty-gritty, where baby boomers share stories, wisdom, and a few laughs along the way. Elle McLeod is your host, inviting you to join candid conversations that celebrate our journeys, lessons learned, and the timeless values that bind us. So be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and click the notification icon. Whether you're reminiscing about the good old days or navigating the present, this podcast is your space to connect, reflect, and enjoy the ride.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the real nitty gritty, a place where baby boomers can have conversations that matter. I'm Elle and I am your host, and you have picked a great night to join us. We are starting a three-part series tonight on grief. But before we hop into it, go ahead and if you haven't already done so, click subscribe, like, share, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. Okay, before we get into it, I need you to go ahead and get relaxed, kick your feet up, sit in your favorite chair, and go grab your favorite beverage. And we're going to go ahead and get down to the real nitty gritty. We're going to have we're starting a three-part series, and tonight is the first part, and we're going to dive into grief. Tonight is going to be from the perspective of the person who has lost a loved one. You know, what are their role? What's expected of them? We're going to talk about what's expected of them and the 5 stages of grief, and starting the healing process. Next week we'll have another topic. We're going to dive into supporting the person that lost the loved one. What does that look like? What do they expect from people that are offering support? Do they really need people at the house every single day, every waking moment of the day? What do they expect from someone that's offering support? What can you actually do that will help them? And then the third week of the series, we're going to be talking about healing and support as far as group therapy, who's there and who can help them in a professional manner, as well as friends and family. So let's go ahead and get to it. Like I said, today we're talking about one of the hardest things we're going to have to face, which is losing someone who matters to us most. It's a journey that's tied together by sadness, memory, and yes, hope. Let's walk through it together. You might feel like you're moving through fog, numb, in shock, or just going through motions. That's denial, a kind of protective pause your mind gives you. It's not weakness, it's nature's way of softening the blow. So it's okay if you're feeling that, it's expected. Now we need to talk about the role. What role do you have? If you have sisters and brothers, do you guys come together collectively and designate one person, or Is it a family decision about every little thing? You know, is it on the oldest? Is it on the youngest? Is it on the middle? How does that happen? Do you have a family meeting? I think that would be a good place to start. Me myself, I'm an only child, so that meant when my dad passed away, I didn't have anybody to really talk to and share that load with me. My mom was living, but she was in a nursing home. She was a double amputee, and they discharged her from the hospital to a nursing home. So, as far as the leg work and running around and doing, handling this and handling that, it was basically me, myself, and I. My oldest daughter helped me out a lot, and I appreciate her. But some things, I just had to jump, you know, head first because I had never planned a funeral before, and I didn't know what that looked like. So, is that the situation? Are you on your own? Reaching here, reaching there, asking this person or that person for advice. So, yeah, in the early days, families often choose someone to be the designated arranger. Okay. The one who calls the funeral home, coordinates the flowers, arranges readings, handles paperwork. It's not being about being strong. It's about love. And that person frees the rest of the family to grieve with presence, not logistics. Funeral directors often offer gentle guidance every step of the way, from the music to obituaries to flowers, so no one feels stranded when everything feels fragile. But I will give you just a tip on that. When you're grieving a loved one, I mean, you got to be on top of your game, even though you're sad and still basically in shock over what has happened and losing someone. But you have to watch everybody because I'm telling you, if there's an opportunity for you to get got on certain things, some people will get you, because you're doing the best you can, you know. So it's good to take a friend with you, take a relative with you. Don't sit down with people by yourself. Um, don't go and try and make purchases by yourself. Always take someone with you because another pair of eyes and ears can pick up on something that you may have missed. Okay. So the 5 stages of grief. The 5 stages of grief, it's going to be denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And these are not linear. They're more or less like waves that you ride. It's no specific order that oh, well, I got to be in denial. Oh, I'm supposed to be in anger at this point. Well, wait a minute. I'm supposed to have accepted the loss by this time, or this is the point when. No, it's no set order and it's no set time frame on any of these. Everyone grieves differently. And what it might take me 2 or 3 weeks to do, it might take you 2 or 3 years. And it doesn't matter because grief is personal and it's individual. So don't feel bad about where you are in the process. Please do not. And then sometimes, you can experience grief. One of the uh, uh, different phases of stages of grief. Sometimes you could be in anger and then you move on and you're thinking you're in the bargaining stage, and the next stage is depression or something, and then you go back to anger. So instead of moving forward to the next stage, you're backing up. It's okay. That's okay too. Sometimes you circle back around a couple of times before you move to the next phase. And that's absolutely fine. But denial, you might feel disconnected or simply say, I can't believe they're gone. That's okay. It's a way of protecting ourselves to say things like that. And that is quite all right. It's denial. That is perfectly fine. In the stage of anger, you might ask, why them? Why now? Or feel irritation with doctors or the fate that fell upon the lost one. That's love's pain finding an outlet. Okay, so bargaining. If only, if only, they asked me to drive them to the store and I was busy and they drove themselves. If only, if only. Those type of thoughts may surface. If only I checked on them sooner. It's your heart's way to try and regain control, and you have to be careful with that because that can the bargaining it can tend to lead to guilt, and you don't want to be in a guilty phase because it's not good. It's not good for you. You're already grieving. The last thing you want to do is be in a place of guilt. Um, you have to recognize and realize, surely as we're born, we all have to go that route and leave this earth, you know, one day at some point in time. No one lives forever. So you can't feel guilty about you could have saved this person or that person had you only been there or had you did this or had you, if you could have changed this situation or this circumstance. You know, everyone has a day and everyone has a number, and only God knows what that day and time is. So please, please, please go easy on yourself. Go easy on yourself. So, depression is another stage in grief. When the sorrow floods in and fatigue, withdrawal, tearfulness can follow. It's normal. It's clinical depression, and that's part of grief. It's part of grief. Acceptance. This isn't being okay. It's acknowledging what has happened. This has happened. So it means finding ways to carry the memory forward. Okay. Guidance for compassion and healing. Name your feelings, and you can call them out by their names. Feel them deeply without judgment. You know, if you're feeling exhausted, call it out. I'm exhausted. You might want to write that down and see how you're feeling exhausted today, but write it down. Then tomorrow, or the next day, around the same time, see how you're feeling, and pretty soon you'll be able to gauge, where you are, if you're doing better, if you're doing worse, and it's a way of you can look at yourself and tell over a period of time how you're feeling, and then you can know yourself if you need to reach out for someone to help you go through, the different stages of grief, and get a little assistance, little therapy, to help navigate your way through what you're going through the mourning and the grief. And lean on your family, lean on your friends. They know what you're going through, and nobody's gonna fault you for feeling how you feel, you know. And talk to people outside of your family too, outside of your normal circle. I know I was in the grocery store about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I went down the aisle looking for what I was looking for, and I seen this young lady. She was by herself, and at first I thought she was holding a phone to her ear, but I heard her like sniffling, and I was like, I didn't say anything to her. I kept looking for what I was looking for, but I had her in my out of the corner of my eye. So as I got closer to her, I noticed she was crying. She was just outright crying. And I went over to her and I asked her, I said, "Are you okay? Are you all right?" And she just broke down and she started crying even harder and told me her best friend had just died. And it hit me like a ton of bricks because me and my best friend, we've been knowing each other about 50 years or so, almost 50 years. And I never even contemplated if anything happened to her. But instantly, when she said that, it kind of shook me. And I'm like, oh my God. And I reached out to her, and she cried about 2 to 3 minutes. Now, this is in the grocery store. And sometimes she talked to me and she told me, she said that she's all right. She's going to be all right. It's just that she has to be so strong for the family that the only time that she can't cry is when she's alone. So when she finds herself alone, that's when she lets it out. And that is totally fine. That's totally fine. It's part of the process. And if that's something that you need to do, you know, do it. Hopefully there's someone around that has empathy and, can be that shoulder that you need. It doesn't have to be somebody in your family in front of a group of people. You know, community can help you. So the people at the mortuary, that they that's what they deal with every single day, and they're equipped to deal with that. And you know, I don't see them being in a situation where they're not empathetic to your grief. So if you need to call and speak to someone there, they have counselors there. They have counselors to help you through the process. And sometimes if you just need to call somebody, call them, call. Sometimes you can talk to a stranger better than you can talk to someone in your family, just to let things out. And because all the time you can't let everyone know exactly how you're feeling, and it's good to speak to a stranger or get therapy. Also create quiet routines. Light a candle. Uh, play your loved one's favorite song. You know, think about happy times, things that made them happy, things that bring a smile to your heart. Oh, I remember we went here or we went there. Don't let it those places or those thoughts, don't try to numb them down and not think about it. Yeah, think about it. It's fine. It's okay. It'll help. You know, when you're ready, it'll help. You know, do small acts to join love and memories together. So, anytime you're feeling like you're about to lose it or something, or you're just feeling extremely anxious because you're missing that person, um, think about something that you love. Think about something that that person loved, and that'll be a good memory. That'll be a good memory for you, and that should help. Again, as I was saying, it's no deadlines. Grief isn't a clock. Let it unfold and let yourself unfold with it. Okay, so don't rush, and we're gonna get to it probably next week, the do's and don'ts, because some people can come and say things that are kind of off-putting, and it's just because a lot of time people don't know what to say to you. They want to be there for you and they want to be a source of strength for you, but out of not knowing what to say, they just might say something that is just very off-putting. So um, I can't wait till we get into that part, because sometimes silence says a lot. Silence speaks a lot louder at times than words. But grief isn't a journey we walk along. It's love that speaks even after goodbye. So, to our arrangers, thank you for holding the space. And to everyone that's grieving, be gentle with yourself. You don't have to be a whole. You don't have to be whole today. You take your time and don't rush. You just need to keep going, one kind moment at a time. You know. And another thing that I'd like to speak about is, or talk to you about, after the funeral is over, after the service, after the repast, now is the next week. Where did everybody go? Because up until the funeral, you can get rid of people, and you have so much food you don't know where you're gonna put it. You're gonna be tired. I was tired of seeing food. And but the thing of it is, we have to think about the people that just have lost someone. They just buried their loved one. Guess what? The following week, they still have lost a loved one. And it's not over for them just because the funeral is over. They need you more then than before the funeral, because people just disappear, carry on about their day-to-day business. And, these people are left by the wayside. You got to call them, you got to check on them. Not harassment, but at least reach out with a text, send a card, let them know that you're thinking about them. Let them know if they need you just to talk, just for you to listen. You're there just to listen. You know, just don't. One day you're there, all the way up until the funeral, and then the funeral is has came and gone, and now they're by themselves at home dealing with this, and it's no one around. That could make a person feel even worse. They just need to be, not, I won't say surrounded by people, because sometimes, I know me, when I lost my dad, I didn't even want anybody to come over to the house because I wasn't feeling that. I know my pastor had asked me what was a good day for the church members to come out and come sit with me. And I was like, no time, no day. I, I did not want that. And that was perfectly fine. I'm an individual and my grief is personal. And I chose not to have that. So what they did, they sent food over anyway, which that was a good thing. I really appreciated, and I appreciated the thought that they wanted to come over. So that was good. And with my mom, we had people over. I had people over, but I think it was more so because that's what was expected. It wasn't my personal feeling. I guess I don't know. If you're an only child out there like I am, did you experience the same thing, that people were over and you really didn't want them over? You wanted to kind of be to yourself. But, I don't know. We have to be mindful when someone is grieving a loved one, and how much time we're, you know, impeding, or that we're placing on them. Because guess what? When you're over at their house, they have to sit up, more so entertain or whatever, or sit up with the people. Or what. All the time, people are not there yet where they want to sit up and entertain. And, so we just have to check the temperature, see where people are. Some people are out there, they probably want and probably need people around all of the time when they're going through like that. It just, it's personal and it's individual. So you just got to check the temperature, or either ask the person, would you like me to come by? I could be over here at such and so time. And then once you get over there, just don't go over there and sit down and just be sitting up with your arms folded, looking around, being nosy and stuff. Try to make things easier on people. Hey, girl, I'm going to go in here in the kitchen and I'm going to tidy up. I'm going to do your dishes. I'm going to put some of this food away. Do you need me to make you a plate? Do some things that are really going to make a dent, because they're not feeling at their best. They may not feel like washing the dishes, cleaning up, putting the food away. That's some things that you can do. That's called support. That's called support. And, you don't even have to ask. Just, hey, if you don't mind, I'm going to go in here and go in the kitchen and tidy up a little bit. Is there anything else you want me to do? Do you have any ripping and running you need to do? I can go with you. Put yourself in that type of space with the person. And then, yeah, be prepared. Also, be prepared. If you put yourself in that space, the person could break down, start crying, mourning the loss of their loved one. And you have to be prepared for that too. And be careful what you say. A shoulder and a hug is always a winner. They need to feel that human connection, just because you have to be careful on the things that you say. We want to respect, and we want to empathize with the person. Not feel sorry for them, but let the person know that you genuinely care, and that you're there for them. So we're going to wrap up this episode, and I hope you enjoyed. I hope that something was said tonight that makes a difference in your life, as you deal with these different things. Dealing with loss is not easy. It's not easy. People losing their parents, losing kids, losing their spouses. It's not easy. It's just not easy. And we have to be there for one another. So we talked about the roles that people play and people have, and how you can come together as a family to decide how you're going to designate one person to do everything and the planning and all of those things, or if this person is going to do this part and that person is going to do that part, come together as a family. Or if you're, an only child like myself, have a good friend, a family member that you're close to help you go through the steps. I think it makes it a lot easier. So yeah, we talked about that. We talked about the 5 stages of grief, that we know that there's no rush. It's no proper way to do it. It's no specific step you got to be at on this day. You got to be on step 1. On this day, you got to be on step 5. It's individual and it's personal. You take as much time as you need. That's the only thing that's going to help you heal. You got to work it through on your own terms. Right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. You could have spent your Wednesday anywhere but here. And we appreciate that you chose to be here. So I will see you next week, where we will continue our series, and we will be on step 2 of our series on grief. All right. Take care and have a nice night.
Thank you for tuning in to The Real Nitty Gritty. If today's episode resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with fellow boomers who appreciate a good story and meaningful conversation. Stay connected with us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Remember, every story adds a stitch to the rich tapestry of our generation. Until next time, keep sharing, keep laughing, and keep living the real nitty gritty.